The most powerful thing you can do when someone disrespects you is nothing, not silence from weakness, not silence from fear. Silence as a weapon, cold, deliberate, and absolutely devastating to the person who just tried to break you. Most people have been sold a lie. They were told that standing up for yourself means clapping back, setting the record straight, drawing a line. What nobody tells you is that the moment you open your mouth to defend yourself, you've already lost. The moment you explain, justify, or react, you hand your attacker exactly what they came for. This is the architecture of non-reaction. And once you understand it, no one will ever own your nervous system again. The asymmetry of explanation in any interaction, the person explaining is the person losing. Think about a courtroom. The judge sits elevated, still, observing. The judge does not explain. The defendant stands sweating, scrambling, begging for their narrative to be accepted. Power belongs entirely to the one who is not trying to convince anyone. When someone attacks your character, questions your choices, or throws a passive-aggressive comment your way, their goal is singular: drag you into the defendant's chair, make you scramble for evidence of your own worth. In the late 18th century, the French diplomat Talleyrand experienced one of the most vicious public dressings down in history. Napoleon, furious at what he perceived as disloyalty, cornered him in a room full of Europe's elite and screamed at him for 30 unbroken minutes. Insults, threats, mockery of his physical limp, challenges to his manhood. He wanted fear. He wanted Talleyrand to beg. Talleyrand stood perfectly upright. His face was stone. He did not shift his weight. He offered zero resistance and zero validation. When Napoleon finally ran out of breath and stormed out of the room, physically exhausted from his own rage, the court fell into silence. Talleyrand slowly adjusted his coat, turned to the nobles, and said in a flat, calm voice, "What a pity that such a great man is so ill-bred." In a single moment of absolute non-reaction, he stripped the most powerful man in the world of his dignity. He didn't fight back, because fighting back would have implied Napoleon's words had landed. When someone challenges you with that subtle sneer of judgment, do not give them an itinerary of your thinking. Look at them. Let your face go completely still. Let a flat, emotionless second pass, then change the subject entirely or simply walk away. That refusal to participate communicates something far more devastating than any comeback ever could. You do not have the jurisdiction to judge me. Your attempt is entirely irrelevant. Starving the predator people who belittle, manipulate, and provoke are not seeking resolution. They are hunting for emotional currency. Your anger, your tears, your frantic explanations, these are the food that sustains their ego. Every reaction you give is payment for their disrespect. So what happens when you cut off the supply? In behavioral psychology, there is a phenomenon called the extinction burst. Imagine a rat conditioned to press a lever for food. One day, scientists cut off the machine. The rat doesn't quietly accept it. It presses the lever harder. It claws at it. It throws its body against the cage in a frantic, escalating tantrum before finally collapsing into exhaustion and going still. Human beings run on identical circuitry. When you stop reacting to a toxic person, they will not quietly accept it. They will escalate. They will push harder. They will say something more offensive. They will accuse you of being arrogant, cold, or crazy. They will attack what they know you care about most. This is the exact moment most people break. They endure the initial provocation. But when the attack escalates, the pressure becomes unbearable and they snap. The rat gets its pellet. The cycle resets. You must learn to see that escalation not as a threat but as a confirmation of your victory. They are not acting from power. They are acting from starvation. Their remote control to your nervous system has stopped working and they are panicking. Let them push the lever. Let them exhaust themselves punching water. Observe them with the clinical detachment of a scientist watching a frantic animal. Notice the strain in their voice. Notice the desperation in their eyes. You are expending nothing. They are hemorrhaging energy. By the time they're done, they will feel empty and deeply unsettled. You haven't just denied them a win, you've reprogrammed their subconscious to associate attacking you with total personal collapse. The predator learns to hunt elsewhere. Weaponized unpredictability. Every time you react, you hand your attacker a map. You show them where the landmines are. What makes you defensive? What makes you desperate where the soft tissue is? They catalog it and return to those exact coordinates every time they need leverage. When you don't react, you give them nothing. You become a black box. They input an insult, the output is a flat, unreadable stare. They input a threat, the output is a casual shift of posture. This terrifies the manipulative mind. They rely on predictability to feel in control. Strip that away and they are swinging a sword in a pitch-black room. Elite interrogators understand this. They don't yell. They don't react to lies, insults, or provocations. They use what's called the blank wall. They sit, they wait. They let the suspect's own nervous energy bounce off their flatness. The suspect, desperate for any signal, any cue that their performance is working, begins to overcompensate. They talk too much. They contradict themselves. They dismantle their own defenses not because they were outsmarted but because they couldn't handle the suffocating weight of an unreadable opponent, become the blank wall. Let their insults hang in the air. Let them hear the echo of their own venom. Without your reaction to validate the words, those words simply drop to the floor exposed, small, and ridiculous. You become a psychological mirror. You offer no reflection of their aggression. So they are forced to look directly at their own instability. And there is nothing a broken mind fears more than being made to look at itself. The insult as a confession here is the reframe that makes anger impossible. An insult is never a diagnosis. It is a projection. It is the attacker handing you the exact coordinates of their own deepest insecurities, gift-wrapped. Human beings lack the imagination to attack others with concepts they don't fear about themselves. We project our internal horrors outward. A colleague who constantly jabs at your ambition, calling you a try-hard, implying you're overstepping, is paralyzed by their own mediocrity. They are terrified to take a risk, and your movement highlights their stagnation. They need you to feel shame for your ambition so they don't have to feel shame for their cowardice. A relative who criticizes your appearance or your finances is haunted by their own fatting or their own lack. They are bleeding internally and trying to splatter it onto you so they don't have to face it alone. Once you understand this, the entire dynamic inverts. When someone insults you, don't hear an attack on your worth. Hear a confession. Hear them saying, "This is what I hate about myself. This is what keeps me awake. This is the fear that rules my life." Your physical demeanor will naturally shift. You stop looking defensive. You start looking analytical. You look at them the way a scientist looks at an aggressive bacterium in a petri dish, mildly curious, completely detached, entirely untouchable. They will feel this shift. They will sense they are no longer in a mutual fight. They are being studied. And in that moment, in their attempt to break you, they will realize they have only exposed themselves. You don't need to say a single word. The architecture of the pause understanding this is one thing. Executing it in real confrontation is another. Your brain is wired for survival. When threatened, cortisol floods your system. Your heart pounds. Your muscles tense. Your biology is screaming at you to fight or run. To ignore effectively, you must physically override that programming. Step 1. Control the breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, expanding your stomach, not your chest. This hijacks the sympathetic nervous system, drops your heart rate, and cuts off the adrenaline spiral. Your voice won't shake. Step 2. Relax the jaw. When attacked, we clench. We narrow our eyes. We brace for impact. Do the exact opposite. Drop your shoulders. Let your facial muscles go completely slack. You are demonstrating physically that you do not perceive them as a threat. A charging bull treated like a mild gust of wind. Step 3. The gaze. Maintain eye contact, but don't glare. A glare is a reaction. A glare shows them they've landed. You want a flat, dead calm stare. Focus on the bridge of their nose, and then deliver the most psychologically devastating physical act available to a human being in conflict, the slow blink. In high-stress situations, animals don't blink. Their eyes stay wide, scanning for threat. Blinking slowly is a biological signal of total safety and supreme confidence. When someone is screaming at you, and you simply give them a slow, measured blink, it dismantles their reality. It tells their subconscious you are so completely unbothered by their presence you are practically falling asleep. Hold the pause. 3 full seconds. In a confrontation, that is an eternity. It forces the attacker to hear the echo of their own words. It creates a vacuum they will desperately want to fill. In those 3 seconds, most attackers backtrack. They laugh nervously. They try to play it off. They shrink. If they hold their ground, you have two choices. Turn your body away entirely and resume whatever you were doing, erasing them from your reality. Or if you must speak, reply in a voice so low and so devoid of emotion it sounds like a weather report. Are you finished? No anger, no sarcasm, just a flat inquiry. This is not the performance of control. This is control. The final transformation is not a technique. It is a philosophical shift. Gritting your teeth and enduring provocation is not non-reaction. It is suppression. And suppression eventually breaks. The goal is not to act unbothered. The goal is to become unbothered. Ask yourself the unflinching question: why do I care what this person thinks? Most people you encounter do not have sovereignty over their own minds. They are reactive by default to the news, to the algorithm, to whoever spoke to them last. They are sleepwalking through their own existence, triggering mechanically on whatever stimulus appears in front of them. Why would you hand the keys to your nervous system to someone who cannot govern their own habits? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it plainly. If someone succeeded in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. You are complicit because you assigned value to their judgment. You granted them authority they were never entitled to. When you truly internalize how lost, how chaotic, and how reactive most people are, their insults lose all weight. You stop seeing them as adversaries. You start seeing them as malfunctioning machinery. You don't argue with a door that doesn't close properly. You recognize its nature and adjust accordingly. This is the coldest, most complete form of disdain available, not rage, not contempt. Simply the withdrawal of your attention. The reclassification of someone from a threat to a background condition. When you become the ghost, you move through the world untouched by the friction of other people's egos. You observe the manipulation, the drama, and the insults the way you observe a poorly written play from the balcony. You are in the theater. You are not on the stage. Their words hold no value in your reality. They are static. Think about the energy you've spent in your life arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. The hours lost replaying conversations, rehearsing comebacks, nursing wounds from people who no longer matter and never really did. Imagine reclaiming all of it. The people who matter don't require you to bleed for their understanding. The people who demand your blood will never understand you anyway. Stop offering your pulse to vampires. In a world addicted to outrage, the person who refuses to react is the person who cannot be controlled. The eye of the storm, perfectly still while everything spins. You do not owe the world your reaction. You owe yourself your peace.